With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. Look who I've got with me today. It's actor, writer, director Brent Huff with me. So welcome, Brent.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate
it. You know, we love you on everything you show up on.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, we're a family of Brent Huff fans.
I didn't realize there was one out there. So there's one.
It's here in West Virginia.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So I always like to start this way. Can you tell me a little bit about what got you into acting? You know, why'd you want to become an actor? It's not an easy profession.
It's definitely not an easy profession. I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, and it's a small town. There's not a lot to do. And I loved watching movies. And so I wanted, my dad took me to go see James Bond, I thought, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. He had the cool cars, he had the gadgets, he had the clothes, he got the girl. It was like, it was everything. So I wanted to be that guy. And it would take me away from this small town in the Ozarks to all over the world. And that's the great thing about stories, is they take you on these adventures. And so I knew I wanted to be a storyteller. And my dad said, well, that's an actor. Because I was going to be an FBI agent or CIA or, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
I go, well, that's an actor. And I go, oh, so that, and then I would see somebody like Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor, and then I want to do comedy. Then I'd see a sad movie. I want to be that guy. So I want to be all these different characters, and an actor was the best way to do that.
Yeah. They're looking for a James Bond now.
I know. I think that window might have left. Who do you like for Bond?
I love Daniel Craig in the role.
He was great.
I thought he was really good. And I've heard Idris Elba maybe as a Bond.
I think he'd be terrific. I love that idea.
Or they could go with me. I wouldn't mind seeing a female in there.
Yeah. So there you go.
We got a little bit of that in the last couple. They've had kind of those female roles where they're kicking ass and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah. So sometimes you see those and they work, It's like when Angelina Jolie did Salt and Tomb Raider.
Yeah, she was a little ahead of some of that, because she did a lot of those action movies, and then we didn't have any for a while, and now they're starting to come back where we've got those female leads. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
not too bad. Did you ever try to get on Ozark?
Okay, I called my agent. I said, all right, they're shooting the show Ozark, and I love it. And I'm from the Ozarks. I can nail that. Get me on this show. They go, well, it shoots in Georgia. I think Georgia. I go, wait, Ozark didn't shoot in the Ozarks? And so, I never got to audition for it. I would have loved to. I love that show.
Oh, it's such a good show.
Yeah, it's like, and I could have done that hillbilly thing pretty easy. It's like.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, can you still slip into the accent?
Oh, I do every once in a while. Yeah, it's I get tired or have a margarita, and here it comes. And so
I always find it if I'm talking with family, my accent gets a lot thicker.
Oh yeah, definitely. I go back, and I don't realize I'm doing it, and then I come, kind of a thing.
Yeah, sometimes I'll catch myself, and I'm like, "What am I saying?" I don't even know where it comes from. It's so thick. I'm like, oh well.
Yeah. So, but that'd have been a show I wanted to be on. The 3 billboards of
such a good
Missouri.
movie. Yeah.
A buddy of mine was in that show, and it was just I want to be in that too. Anything that has Missouri in the title, I think I should be on that show.
They should automatically call you.
I would
think have first refusal.
Yeah, offer only. I would think, but.
Can you name another Missouri actor?
Okay, are you ready for this story?
Yeah,
So when I first came to LA, I'm from Springfield, Missouri, and it was a struggle. I mean, it's a tough business. You gotta,
it
you get
is.
rejected constantly. And I go, well, I'm from Springfield, Missouri. What are my chances? And then there was a guy who went to my high school who did okay. His name's Brad Pitt.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
Brad Pitt and I went to the
He's done
same.
all right.
He's okay. Yeah. So Brad Pitt and I are both members of the Kickapoo High School Theater Hall of Fame in Springfield, Missouri. So I got that going for me. I'll
That's
whip
pretty
that
good.
out when I need to.
Have you run into him to get to, talk about that connection?
No, no. But even if I saw him at a restaurant, I know celebrities don't like you to come up and talk to him, but I would say, okay, I went to Kickapoo, and then I think they'd have a conversation. I heard he's a nice guy, so.
Do you think he would recognize the accent? Like if you just got up close to him and started talking with the accent, do you think he'd turn around and be like, "Hey, where are you from?"
He might. Now, do you notice his accent?
I don't.
Okay, so to me that's a Missouri accent because it's really light, but I can tell. So it's one of those like close things, but I can tell he's from there. And then Don Johnson's from back there, Kathleen Turner,
Oh,
Tess
that's right.
Harper, John Goodman. I just did a movie with Tom Berenger. He's from Kansas City, so it's
Love
like,
Tom.
yeah. Oh, Tom's an awesome guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
director.
he's been acting my entire life, basically. I've
Oh
been
yeah,
watching
I go back for looking for Mr. Goodbar. I'm like, who is this guy? Look like young Paul Newman, and and just the nicest guy in the world. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm such a fan of his, and he's still just a terrific actor.
oh yeah, yeah. And he works all the time. He'll do great big movies and small independent movies. And I think he was living in South Carolina. I think he's living where they shot. God, what was that movie where they all come together for a funeral? Where
Oh, yeah, I watched that movie.
Yeah, it's Kevin Costner plays the dead guy. It's a famous movie. What? My mind's blank. I'll
It'll
remember.
come to me.
Yeah, but I think he actually fell in love with the place when they were shooting, and he lives there now.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many famous actors from Missouri.
Yeah, there are a few. How about
Is
Go ahead.
Well, from West Virginia, it's thin. I mean, we've got Jennifer Garner.
Oh, good.
We had Soupy Sales back in
Oh,
the day, Bob
okay.
Denver.
Gilligan.
Yeah, we had him for a long
Yeah.
time. We've got Michael Severus
Okay.
is from here, and that's about it.
A
I'm
good
sure
friend
there's
of
a
mine,
few.
a good friend of mine. Her name is Kelly Anderson, and she was Miss West Virginia back in the day.
Oh, I remember Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, she's super nice. In fact, my wife was talking to her an hour ago.
Well, yeah. What's Kelly up to these days?
She is a psychologist.
Oh, very nice.
She was a Ford model back in New York, and both my wife and I were both Ford models, and that's how we all met. And we've remained close, and we see Kelly quite often. So,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love hearing the West Virginia connections.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'll find out on this podcast that somebody has a connection in West Virginia. I never would have known.
Yeah.
Just didn't realize. I think instead of actors, we're more famous for the coaches that come out of West Virginia. We've had Nick Saban and some of those, especially football coaches that
Bob Huggins.
Jimbo Fisher. It's another.
Oh, I didn't know he's from there, but Bob Huggins, he was
Bob Huggins.
Yep.
Bob got into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, I heard that.
We're crossing our fingers because we love Bob Huggins. He needs to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
Heck of a coach, though.
No, he can coach for sure.
Yeah. He's one that he doesn't normally have the most talented team, but he gets the most out of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I want to ask you about, did you have maybe did background work or a small role in a show called Wizards and Warriors?
No, I actually had a line. I had one line. So it was like, and Bill Bixby, remember Bill Bixby?
Oh, I love Bill Bixby. It's the
Bill
Hulk.
Bixby, yeah. Bill Bixby
Eddie's
directed
dad.
it. Yeah, yeah. So it was, oh man, I remember this like it was yesterday because I was scared to death. I was so nervous. And I said, my line was with Jeff Conaway. And I said, Sire, Blackstone and Fector are approaching the gate. Still remember the line. And I just, I mean, I was so wooden. I was so terrible. And I was a theater major at the University of Missouri. I mean, I studied acting. I thought, I'm ready for Hollywood. And when I got on stage, my heart was beating like like a hummingbird. And I was just like, oh, I just got to say this line, Sire, Blackstone and Vector approaching the gate. And so Bill Bixby was trying to help me out. He goes, how about we do this? Sire, Blackstone and Vector, and then point, are approaching the gate. And so I did it, and it seems so fake now. But he was trying to help me. But I had one line in that. I don't know if that's when I got my SAG card or not, but I got my SAG card when
I thought that was pretty early. We got close with Walter that starred in that before he passed.
Okay.
And that's why I was asking because I remember that was one that he always talked really fondly about being on the show.
Yeah. It was my first or maybe that's my second job. My first job was this movie I did called Coach, where I played a high school basketball player with Kathy Lee Crosby and Michael Biehn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Kathy Lee Crosby was Wonder Woman before Linda Carter.
Yeah. You know your stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the nerd stuff.
Yeah.
So I always said I've got all this useless knowledge banging around in my head, and didn't know what to do with it. And now like podcasting.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect. You're very knowledgeable in this. So
well,
good.
I remember you making an appearance or two on In Living Color.
Oh man, do you really?
You were like a cowboy on there.
I played a cowboy once, and then I played this convict with the Headleys, where they're the hardworking people of Jamaica. And then I was like this, so loved working on that show. Who knew at the time that, I'd see the Jim Carrey, I'd see the Fly Girls, Jennifer Lopez, dancers on it. And it was just like, a lot of people came off that show.
Yeah, we didn't know it at the time. It was just funny. But you didn't think much of it. But like half the people on that show ended up being just really famous after.
Oh yeah, all the Wayans brothers, and of course Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
Jamie Foxx.
Jim Carrey.
I mean, it's like a ton of people.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
I know you've done a lot of writing. You've done documentary work. What's your preference there? Do you prefer to act, or do you prefer to have more of that kind of creative control?
Well, it's funny. When I first had I known that I was going to write, I would have taken my English classes a little more seriously. I was in college, but I knew I was going to be I didn't take college too serious. I played basketball and track in college, so just enough to have my eligibility. But it didn't interest me. But had I known I was going to write screenplays, I would have taken that a little more serious. But what happened is I was doing a lot of movies in the 80s. I just do one action movie after another, where I get to be the lead guy and shoot, machine guns. I think I shot 7 movies in the Philippines where I'm.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It was like, Michael Dudikoff's a friend of mine. We'd all run into each other, and it's like we're sort of doing these B action movies. And, they were fun to do. I had a great time, but they weren't very good, Stuart. Yeah. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to make my own movie. And I wrote a play called Actors and Other Animals. And it was about these actors that were living in New York at a restaurant. And they're counting their tips at the end of the night. And they're all complaining about why they haven't made it as actors. And then I thought, okay, I could actually shoot this and make it to a movie, but I want to do a serious movie. So I wrote a movie about 3 couples that go to Big Bear, which is up here in California, and 2 bad guys come in and hold them hostage for the night. And so I could shoot it like almost a play. And so I thought, okay, so I'm going to raise the money to make my first direct tour. I wrote it, and now I'm going to direct it. And I was doing a movie with James Brolin in Spain. And James is a really nice guy. And so I told him at lunch, I said, you know what? I wrote a script. I'd love for you to read it. And, he's probably like, oh, God, I got to read. So he called me like 2 hours later. He goes, come to my room. And so, and I told him, I wrote this part for me and blah, blah, blah. And so he says, Brent, it's really good. I got good news and bad news. The good news is I'm going to produce this for you. I'm like, that's great.
Pretty great.
The bad news is I'm going to play the part you wrote for yourself. I'm like, okay. So
I mean, how do you say no to that?
I didn't. I said, okay, I'm going to play the bad guy. And so I got into that. So every time I really studied acting, and after I fell on my face after Wizards of Wars, I said, I was taking tons of acting class, but I would think as an actor. So I'd see scenes and I'd be in the actor mentality. Okay, what behavior do they do? This, that, and I'd try to emulate and find my moments. And then suddenly I started thinking as a director, like, okay, this is how to put up this shot. So I started thinking as a director more than an actor. So then for like 15 years, I would concentrate on writing and directing. So I've directed 20 films now. And that was where I was going to go for the rest of my career. And every once in a while, people would put me in movies, or if I'd be on location, like say I shot a movie in Serbia with Michael Madsen, and the producers said, Brent, we just want you to play a part because, you're cheap, you're already here.
Right.
I go, okay. So I do that. But when I had the choice, I wouldn't put myself in my own movies. So I was done with acting. And then I did this 3 episode arc on Shameless.
Yeah.
I go,
We loved you on there.
Oh, thank you. And, William Macy directed it, and I'm like, oh man, it's cool working with Macy and blah, blah, blah. And so I had a good time with that. And then The Rookie came up.
Yeah.
And it was a 1-day part in season 1. And I thought it was going to be in and out, and that was it. And I had my scene with Nathan, and Nathan's a super nice guy, and he made everybody feel at home. And I'm like, man, would it be nice to be on this show? And I didn't think anything more of it. And then they put me, they put a pin in me, meaning like kind of on hold to be in another episode in season 1, but it didn't come through. So I go, well, that was good. And then season 2, they kept calling me, and I just, I ended up doing probably a third of the episodes. And then my character, which I did in the first season, I thought I was just this older cop that's kind of a hard ass that didn't like rookies. I was going to be hard on everybody. I was going to be that guy. And that's how I was playing it. I was playing it, And then all of a sudden I read scripts like, oh, I live in a trailer in the back of the station, and I'm drinking mojitos, watching women's softball. I'm like, okay. And so then I said, oh, they're going to go funny with this. And then it went from being a serious, hard ass, tough cop to all of a sudden I'm sort of the punching bag of the show. And I love it. It's like I give the writers all the credit. They saw that. And every time I get a script that I'm in, I can't wait to see what Smitty does next. And so my wife goes, why'd you do this time? I go, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe that,
Well, we love the character because he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever he does, whatever happens, whatever mistake he makes, stuff, he's just like,
yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of what he's like. It's I had a quote here that a fool blurts out the truth because he doesn't know any better. That's kind of, And then another one, somebody had written about Smitty, clown is an international language.
But we love the episodes where you're running for office, or you're running for the rep, and those cracked us up because he was running the campaign the same way he does everything else. He's just like,
Yeah, vote for me, vote for Smitty here, and I filled up my water bottles in my bathroom sink. So I got that script, and I go, I'm running for union rep against John Nolan, who's played by the star of the show. And I go to Nathan, I wonder who's going to win this. Yeah, he goes, I don't know. Yeah, I said, I think we know who's going to win.
I think we know.
Yeah.
Have you got to direct at all on that show?
Nah, it's I haven't even approached it with them. I don't even know that they know I direct. To be honest, I've never talked to the producers.
I'm sure they know.
Maybe they know, but I've never once mentioned it on the set, and I've so. Yeah, I haven't gone there. I don't want to muddy the waters at all, but
yeah. Well, now it's a whole it's a whole thing because you've got the spinoff. You've been popping up on Feds as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Keeping you busy.
Smitty Streets on Feds, that I have my own reality show that I write and produce and direct. Smitty Streets for my own podcast. See, I got a podcast too. Or actually, it's Smitty Streets.
Yeah, I think that's pretty great. Is it more difficult to do the acting or to host a podcast?
Well, it's not really. I say it's a podcast. It's more of a webisode, so it's not what you do. I actually, you have to think about questions, do what you do. Smitty can't do that. That's
just on there talking.
Yeah. It's but when I do documentaries, I do what you do. It's like the questions. So it's like, and I admire what you do.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know that it's warranted, but I appreciate that.
No, it takes a talent for sure.
I always say with podcasts, the great thing about podcasts is that anybody can do it. But the bad thing about podcasts is that anybody can do it.
Right. But a lot of them won't follow through and do it. You're continuing to do it. That it's the same way with actors. You know, actors come out here all the time, and they have me speak at a lot of seminars and stuff. And I said, the problem is most of you won't make it. And I'm not saying that to be mean. Believe me, I've been rejected more times than you can imagine. And if my talent was anywhere close to my ambition, who knows where I might go. But you've got to be able to take those, hits and knocks and get up constantly. And most don't want to do that, to be honest. And honestly, you might want to be rich and famous, but you don't actually love the part of creating a character, breaking down
the work.
But you got to love it, I tell people, when I was in high school, I knew every song on the radio. And before I wanted to be James Bond, I wanted to be a rock star.
Of course.
But then my mom goes, okay, you gotta have to learn music. Well, you gotta play the piano, the guitar. And I thought, okay, I'll do the drums because I can keep a beat. And I thought that was the easiest way in. And then I thought, you know what? That means I don't really want to be a musician. I want to be up there and, on stage. And so that's what, I tell people who want to be actors, do you really want to be an actor?
Yeah.
Because it's like, and because highest of highs and lowest of lows as an actor. Yeah.
Well, I interviewed an actor one time that when he did a little play when he was about 15, but he worked with Christopher Plummer. And, he took that time to tell Christopher Plummer, I want to be an actor. And that's kind of the same thing he said. He's like, do you really want to be an actor? Why do you want to be an actor? And I guess whatever, he said or anything, Christopher Plummer said, well, that's a start. Maybe you can build on that. But he had no idea of the difficulties in just being an actor. Most actors struggle or maybe have to have a side job to do it. It's not an easy gig.
Oh, I've had many side jobs. Yeah, it's rough.
Have you waited tables?
Twice, and I got fired both times. So, it was not good. It was, I wasn't a good waiter. I worked at a graveyard shift. Believe it or not, there was a dairy in downtown LA. And I lived in Santa Monica. I had to take 3 buses because my car broke down. I had this Buick 222 that got about 3 miles to the gallon. I didn't, it broke down. And, I came out to LA with like $500. And so I was working graveyard shift, and I'd take the bus back, and then I would go into acting. I mean, it was brutal, but you really got, you got to want it. It's, unfortunately, I didn't have rich parents who could pay for my doing that. I had to make
That's
money
the type of stuff you have to do when you're young, because when you get older, you can't keep those hours. That just wears you out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I try to watch news earlier in the evening now, so I don't have to stay up. I know. Is your news at 10 or 11 at night?
Well, we've got both. It starts at 10, but there's 11 o'clock too.
Yeah, our main was like ABC, NBC, CBS are 11, but the other off channels are 10.
Yeah, that's right.
I watch the 10 and then go to bed.
Yeah.
Rather than stay up to 11.
Most of our news comes from the monologues from the talk shows. And we're normally watching the previous night, episodes at like 9:00. And as soon as we're done with that, we go to bed. We don't even stay up for the guests. It's just a monologue bed.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes the guests we want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 8 hours of sleep was never important to me until I became, old.
Oh, yeah. Well,
now it's like I got to have my 8 hours.
These shows like Dateline or 48 Hours, and all, we love those. It's like, murder was your solution to this problem, kind of thing. And so it's like always like, oh, yeah, he was having an affair, but he's not a bad guy, and he took the money, kind of a thing. And we go, let's watch the second part up in bed. And we fall asleep every time, so we don't remember, what happens.
What do you do?
Yeah. And sometimes we'll watch it 3 or 4 years later. We go, I think we've seen this, but we forgot how it ended.
Don't you think Schmitty needs a spinoff?
He does. I'll be honest, a lot of people, like online, like in Reddit, and they're talking about the Smitty spinoffs, and that, and he should at least have, Smitty Streets for Real as a webisode, even 2 or 3
I'd
minutes.
watch that.
And then I would get to interview like some of the other recurring characters and get to know their backstories, So there's some other people, like Oscar and like Skip, Tracer, Randy, like all these kind of characters. I'd love to be able to
Skip, Tracer, Randy
get together, I haven't met him. I know he's really high energy, and it's but I haven't got to meet him yet.
I wonder, is he like that in person? Because all his acting roles are like that, and I'm just like, he's hilarious, but you're just exhausted at the end of it. I'm like, how does he keep that energy up?
I don't know how he does it. I don't know, but the stuntman for The Rookie and I, we go to the same gym, so we talk all the time and stuff. And he was like saying, and the stuntman's a big dude, and he said, Skip, Tracer, Randy, he's huge. He was a German guy, and he's a big dude, and he kind of looks it on screen, but a lot of the actors, Nathan's really tall, Eric's tall.
Yeah. Nathan got skinny.
Yeah. From season 1 to 2, I'm like, whoa.
He lost a lot of weight there, or got in better shape. I don't know. Yeah, it was noticeable.
Yeah, big time. But and he's kept it off. He looks good.
We always laugh at the show because it's really good police drama, and has some, like the beginning stuff is usually kind of funny, the little things happen. So we love that and stuff. But they get into the situations that you're like, those seem so much bigger than just a normal police force would have to deal with. Maybe it's not, but you're like, there they are saving the world again.
That could have, yeah, it's funny. Like, say the season finale of season 5 we just had, it was like, a cliffhanger and a lot of drama and this and the other. So I wasn't in that one because there was really no room for Smitty to start popping wives someplace, So it's like, but I thought it was a really good cliffhanger.
Well, they've had, like, every season has had those where it ends. It leaves you wanting the next season.
Well, in the season finale of season 3, I lost. I was taking the La Fiera, to prison. And Smitty loses it, and they cut it out. But I said right before that, I was going to DJ, but I didn't, so I got a boat, and this, and they cut that out because it's probably too silly for after like this. So I'm like, oh my god, it's cliffhanger. Did I take a bullet in the back? I didn't know. So you don't know. So,
well, they've killed off some characters on.
Oh yeah. A lot of times I'll go to the end of the, I get a script. I'll go to the end. Okay, somebody's still up.
He's still there. I'll be back.
I was talking to the second AD, and she's great. We're talking, and I go, Smitty lives. And she said, one time there was an actor that she had to go to, you got to go to makeup to get your bullet wound. And he goes, bullet wound? Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Where did I take it? In the abdomen. That could be fatal. And it was.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, you've gotten the chance that you play a lot of police officer type roles or agents or military people. I mean, you over the years you've played a bunch of those.
Lot of military, a lot of cops, a lot of FBI, CIA. The James Bond things I wanted to do.
That's what I'm saying. It's still out there. You could still do it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny. The first part of my career, I'd play these action hero, kind of things, and then all of a sudden, I kind of aged out of that, where I went into the bad guy. So I got to play all these bad guys. Now I get to play sort of the goofball guy.
Yeah.
I did a series of commercials for Microsoft in-house stuff where I was like Chet, and I was another idiot, and I was Steve Ballmer's life coach, and I'm just a total idiot. And I'm like, this is really, and nobody gave me that shot before. And now this rookie thing happened, and even with Shameless, I was kind of an idiot. So
yeah, I think that's a great career arc.
yeah.
You start out serious, you're playing the hero or whatever, then you're the villain, and then you're around long enough, and then you're kind of the comedy.
Yeah, so that's good. But I think back to all the comedy actors. You talk about the Bob Denver and stuff, Gilligan and Ted on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and Woody on Cheers, and Joey on Friends. The kind of the idiots are the fun characters that stick with you.
They are. That's the ones everybody loves, and you remember them forever.
Oh yeah, Homer Simpson, Rose from the Golden Girls. Goes with Kevin from The Office.
Is The Simpsons taking place in Missouri?
No, I know it's Springfield, but there's like
10 of them.
Yeah. But it's funny. Nancy Cartwright and I became friends. In fact, I got a painting from her right over here, and she's Bart Simpson, female.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's a great actor or actress outside of playing Bart Simpson.
Oh yeah,
she's funny.
Yeah, and she directed a film that she sent me that was really good.
I didn't know she directed.
Yeah, but she's had. I mean, how many years has Simpsons been on?
I mean, it's been on for like 30 years.
That's a nice run.
That's not bad. I mean, when you start it and you're voicing an animated character, you have to be thinking this is short term.
You would think.
And then 30 years later, you're still doing it.
You're still doing that.
I mean, that's
I always thought
amazing.
When you see like Wheel of Fortune, I'm thinking, man, Vanna White has been doing that. What a job she's been doing that for 30 years, right?
I mean, I remember watching her in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like I always tell my wife, that would be like a perfect job for me. Give me something that I can just do over and over, but do it well.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, how much fun could that? Yeah.
You get to meet fun people. It's that show, she's got some stories.
Oh yeah.
That's not bad. I'd do that job.
In a heartbeat. Yeah.
I'd rather have her job than Pat's.
Yeah.
Just turn them around. Turn the letters around.
Yeah. How'd you do today, honey? Oh, I nailed it. Yeah. She's probably making a fortune and laughing all the way to the bank. But,
yeah. I mean, that seems like the type of job is once you got it down, you just have to show up. You already know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm probably wrong about this, but did you play John Mellencamp's younger brother in something?
I did. I played.
Was it a story about him? I remember it a little bit, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Oh, it was Larry McMurtry. You know who Larry McMurtry is? Mm-hmm. He wrote the script called Falling from Grace. And John was always a big fan of Larry's. And in fact, I believe John has a son now named Hud. And I think Larry McMurtry wrote Hud, with that Paul Newman was in.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
At the beginning, Sean Penn was supposed to direct it. And it was going to be John's brother. And I went to Seymour, Indiana. Never met him before. And I didn't meet John until I literally was walking onto the set. and I had to grow this mustache, and I played kind of a goofball in that too. But yeah, Mariel Hemingway was in it, and Claude Akins, Deb
I was
Taylor.
pretty sure I was right. I just couldn't remember what the movie was.
Yeah, it's called Falling from Grace.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Did you get to sing with him?
Did get to sing with him?
Yeah.
No. I got to dance beside him, though.
Well, that's not bad.
In a scene, I was dancing. And then one day, he asked me if I was a football fan. I go, yeah, I am. He goes, yeah, I got tickets. You want to go to the Colts game? I'll give you 2 tickets. And I went with a guy who played like my stand-in, I think. And we go up, and of course, it's 50 yards, and we're on the 50-yard line, right in the middle. And people are all looking back at me, and they go, dude, those are JC's seats. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm lucky. So it was like that was a cool part. But yeah, I was in Seymour, Indiana for a couple months. And stayed.
That's pretty great. That's on my end of the country.
Do you guys have Shoney's Big Boy?
We still have Shoney's. Yep.
I stayed at a hotel. At the end of the hotel was Shoney's Big Boy, and that's where I ate like every night. So
yeah, they even after COVID, they've still got the breakfast bar.
Oh yeah. Shoney's, yeah.
Yeah, because there was around here, it's Shoney's. If you go to like Ohio, it's like Frisch's, but they still got the Big Boy. And then I think there's some restaurants just called Big Boy in different.
Well, in LA and Burbank, there's Bob's Big Boy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's sort of famous because on Friday nights they have these old muscle cars. So every Friday night, but it's still a staple in LA in Burbank. Bob's Big Boy. You have the Cracker Barrel there?
We still got Cracker Barrel. When Cracker Barrel first got here, it was my mother's favorite restaurant because we didn't have anything like that. And they do kind of West Virginia food. Yeah. But now they're everywhere. The uniqueness wore off.
I was doing a movie in Atlanta, and I was visiting my folks in Springfield, Missouri. And so we drove to Atlanta, and we ate at three of those on the way. And it was good every time.
Yeah, it's good food.
And then you can go shop out in the little shopping area where you can get taffy and whatever.
Yeah, well, you can get the like old time candy and stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. And then they'll have the DVDs, but they're like shows from the 50s.
Right.
Things, stuff you don't really see anymore. So it's kind of
right, like cool. The Dick Van Dyke show in black and white. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I've got a good Sean Penn story. You mentioned him.
Oh, I want to hear it.
So I'm friends with an actor in LA, and his dad used to represent Robert De Niro with that. So when he was growing up, they lived close to the Penns, but they weren't friends. Sean was a little older than he was. They weren't friends. And one day, he gets a knock on the door. He goes and answers the door, and it's Sean Penn. And he's out there, and he's just kind of, making conversation, but it's kind of awkward because they're not friends, but he's kind of acting like they're friends with that. And it finally dawned on him, and he said, Sean, De Niro's not here. And that's what it was. He was there hoping to meet De Niro, and when he found out he wasn't there, he just turned around and left. He said he didn't even say bye. He just turned around and left.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, he was just a kid at that time too.
I'll tell you something else. I did a movie in South Africa with this actress Ingrid Bolting, and she was in a movie with Robert De Niro. What is it? It's a famous movie, but she was in a movie with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll think of it again after I get off this. But she then, I guess, started dating Sean Penn, and because Sean Penn wanted to know everything about De Niro.
Yeah.
And so we went to dinner at this place called Morton's, which was like the place at the time. On Mondays, you're going to go to Morton's. The Last Tycoon, that's the name of the movie.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so I have dinner with Sean Penn. And this is like years ago before I'm with my wife. And I had another date, and this is way before her. And so several years later, I told my wife, I had dinner with Sean Penn, So,
no big deal.
Yeah, Sean and I, we did, one dinner. So anyway, we went to park someplace in West LA with my wife, and she goes, "Oh, here's Sean Penn walking towards us," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to get busted here that he has no clue who I am." And he walks up, he goes, "Hey, Brent, how are you?" I couldn't believe it. Sean Penn saved me. So I am a Sean Penn fan. So he saved me, and it's like, "Oh, you really do know him?" Like, "Oh, yeah." And I tell you, he did me a solid. So,
oh, he's an amazing actor. I've always heard he's just an amazing person as well. But obviously, kind of interested in De Niro.
oh, he totally had a thing for De Niro. So if you're gonna follow someone's career, that's what you want to do. De Niro's not a bad guy to do that. But,
he was making the right choice.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed watching his career because he starts out, he's Spicoli, and that's how everybody knows him. And then he became such a serious actor. He really evolved as he got older.
It's interesting to watch these guys that play like, "Hey, Mr. Hand, we're having pizza." He was great at that. He did a great job. Then you look at when Robin Williams was Mork, and Steve Carell playing the goofy characters. But like all three of them are great at drama. They can do the comedy, and Steve Carell goes back and forth. But Sean Penn, I don't know that he's ever done any like broad comedies since then.
I don't think he has.
And Robin Williams would do some funny stuff, but it was like they were really, so it's a tough thing, how some actors can do it and some not. But comedy's hard to do, but they can definitely do both.
I always heard comedy is harder than drama.
Yeah.
Just because there's such a rhythm to kind of getting
there is definitely a rhythm, and it's like a pacing kind of a thing. So yeah, you have to find.
Yeah. I mean, I guess whatever they wanted to give you, if you're starting out, you're just like, okay, I'll do it.
Oh yeah. I got a job, whatever it takes.
See, I remember I used to watch, my mother was a big Dick Van Dyke fan. So we watched Diagnosis, Murder forever. And you showed up a couple times.
Dick Van Dyke, not, sometimes Hollywood gets a bad rap because there are some jerks out here that are actors, jerks and everything. But
of course,
I really got to work with some of the night, like right now with Nathan Fillion, but Mark Harmon couldn't be nicer. Dick Van Dyke, I've got a scene where I'm grabbing Dick Van Dyke by the tie and pulling him, and I go, "Oh my God, I'm doing this to Dick Van Dyke," and he couldn't have been nicer. I did 2 episodes, and I worked with his son, but that was sort of a dream come true to get to work with him. Talk about a comic genius,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is terrific.
97 years old, I think, right now.
Yeah, still pretty sharp from what I know. Yeah. I hope I'm that sharp at 97.
I hope I'm that sharp next year.
Yeah. I always tell my wife that, I'm lucky enough that like all my grandparents, all 4 of them, lived to be at least 96 years old. Some of them over 100. And that's what I told her. I was like, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get 100 years out of me, but that's it. I can't guarantee anything past that.
Your wife's going to be stuck with you till like 100?
That's what I told her. I was like, if you want out, it's probably time to do it, or else you might be here a while.
My wife told my dad's 95 years old. And my wife says, "Oh my God, you're going to live forever." I go, yeah.
I can't promise I'll be like happy about it, but I'm going to be here. Yeah. I didn't know, but when I was looking, kind of researching to talk with you, it said you were an extra on King Kong.
Yeah,
You've been doing this a while.
Well, I was a kid when that happened. So my parents, my grandfather lived in Malibu, up in this, my mom's dad out here, and so we'd take that drive from Missouri all the way out here. And we do it like every summer. And so like I told you, when I saw James Bond, I got the acting bug. I wanted to be an actor, early. And so I don't know if it was the LA Times or something, but they go, show up, and it was MGM at the time, which is now the Sony Studios. Show up and you can be an extra in King Kong. So, I mean, I was like, I'm a kid, and I'm signing my name and this, that, and the other. And they had, and Jessica Lange was there. And I'm like, Jeff Bridges. And I'm this big on screen, but, here comes a foot. And of course, I'm overacting. Like,
Of course.
yeah, I want to be seen. But yeah, that kind of got, that was my first on-set experience. I didn't have any lines or anything, but I was like, and it's fun, but I had a blast doing it. Now, a few years back, I directed a movie with Tom Berenger and Tatum O'Neal and James Brolin and Peter Coyote in Kansas City called Last Will. And I went to school at the University of Missouri, and a lot of my friends live in Kansas City, and it's all over Missouri. And I said, we have a big wedding scene outside. Would you guys like to come be extras? And they're like, yeah, I'll be. And so they come. And it's dark. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. They're at the wardrobe, and we're all going through wardrobe. And they brought their own tuxes and all this kind of stuff. And so they're at this wedding literally all day long, and dancing, and they're not dancing. They come up. You did all this for like 3 seconds. I said, yeah, that's how it goes. At the end of the day, I thought, oh my God, they're going to kill me. They are going to freaking kill me for this. And every one of them come up and go, I know why you love the movie business. This was absolute blast.
That's awesome.
And go, we see why you love it. Because it's everybody working together to create kind of magic on film. And it's everybody, I was a director, but I'm sort of like a conductor, and like, the trumpet player has to have talent. The drummer has to have talent. All these people bring their talents together. All were hoping to make magic, and even the extra, everybody. Down the line, it's a community. And when it's running well, and it was just, I'm a set junkie, and you just love it when you love it.
Yeah, I love that. So my chance to be an extra, I didn't get it, but when I was a teenager in the 80s, I got my first job was at a comic book store. Pretty great at that age, pretty great. But I got that job. I immediately went out and bought a 78 Malibu, $1,500. That's my car. Well, so my parents, and my brother were going on vacation to Myrtle Beach, which is like West Virginia's preferred, beach, Myrtle Beach. Well, I just started working at the comic store. I was like, I can't go. I got responsibilities now. I got a job. I can't go to the beach. So they go. Literally hours after they left, I totaled the car. And I only paid $1,500 for it. So it didn't do a lot of damage, but it was enough to total it. So they're gone. I'm already without a vehicle, still have the job. They go down to Myrtle Beach. Well, they're filming Shag down there. It's got Bridget Fonda and Phoebe Cates, and I was, like everybody in the 80s, I was such a Phoebe Cates fan.
Sure.
Well, my parents and my brother, all of them got in that movie as extras, and it about killed me. So I'm at home, wrecked my car. They're down there hanging out with, Phoebe Cates. I was just like, God,
you're shot.
That was my shot. That was it. They came back, and it's been 40 years. I still haven't got them. I was going to say, Brent, this has been terrific. I don't want to keep you all night, but this has been fun. I knew you'd have a ton of stories because you've been doing this a while, and you've worked on all different angles of kind of the entertainment industry. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. You're easy to talk to. So I
appreciate that.
You like the movies and TV and all that. So,
well, when Schmitty gets his spinoff, if you need extras, you give me a call.
Hey, you're the first call. Yeah. And we'll get, what was the car that you totaled?
78 Malibu.
Okay. We'll get you somebody where you get a 78 Malibu.
Oh my gosh. It was light blue. It wasn't even a good looking car. It's just all I could afford. And, back when you first get to driving age, any car is good.
Oh, I won't keep you too long, but my first car, I paid $400 for a Volkswagen. It was like a 68 Volkswagen Beetle. But I couldn't, all the kids that had Volkswagens back in the day had what they call, there were these mufflers, what were they called? Glass packs. Remember those glass?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't afford that. But so there was these two things. So I just they called baffles. I cut them off with a hacksaw. And so it'd be really loud, but it would backfire all the time. My dad was a Southern Baptist preacher. So, so one day I borrowed his car. He had a Ford Torino, and I borrowed it. And so he had to do a funeral. And I didn't come back in time. This was before cell phones.
Oh, no.
So he had to go to the funeral in that car that would backfire all the time. And he's in the funeral procession, where they all drive to the cemetery.
I bet he was ready to kill you.
Oh, he was. Yeah. He didn't speak to me for a week. It was like,
yeah. My grandfather was a Southern Baptist minister.
There you go. Yeah.
It was very hell and brimstone when I was younger, but then as he got older and kind of mellowed out and stuff, it tended to be a little more relaxed. But I remember going, to church when I was pretty young and just being terrified all the time.
Oh, both my grandfathers were Southern Baptist preachers, and my dad was. And I never got to see The Wizard of Oz until I was in college because it would play on Sunday nights, and I had to go to church. And I said, "Can I have one Sunday off to see? We come on like once a year." Wizard?
Yep.
No, gotta go. So I waited until
it was a Thanksgiving movie, right? Wasn't it around Thanksgiving they showed that?
Maybe. I don't remember that, but I remember it was always on a Sunday night. I remember that part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. It was like that one. Then you had Sound of Music was one they always showed once a year on Sunday, and 10 Commandments every Easter. Yeah. You get that one. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a lot of fun talking to you.
Well, yeah, Brent, thank you so much. Anything you're working on currently that we can kind of keep an eye out?
Well, right now, on hiatus for The Rookie, but with this writer's strike, we just don't. And then right now, I just directed a documentary called The Jackie Stiles Story.
I saw that.
It's an amazing story. I'm not saying it because I directed her story. It's an amazing story. Jackie Stiles is a 5'8" girl that grew up in a tiny town in Kansas, and she dreamed of being the best college basketball player in the world. And with hard work and grit, she did it. Became the all-time NCAA scoring record, took a mid-major team, Missouri State, to the Final Four, was the WNBA Rookie of the Year. I mean, and you watch her play, she's like Allen Iverson. It's like a guy playing. It was just an amazing, and this arenas would sell out everywhere to watch her play at the time. And this was 20 years ago. So the tagline, The Jackie Stiles Story, the greatest basketball player you've never seen. And so many coaches, big time coaches, said, she's the best player in America, male or female, at the time in 2001.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was trying to figure out what made you do that story, but I didn't realize she was from Missouri or went to school.
Well, she's from Kansas, but went to college at Missouri. It's called Southwest Missouri State at the time, which now it's Missouri State. And so my parents called me and said, "You've got to see this girl play." And the boys team would not sell out. It was 10,000 fans every game to watch her. And they all had Styles number 10 on the back.
That's
and
amazing.
I don't want to watch this girl's game. And then I was like, whoa. The whole team was great.
Wait, is she in the documentary?
It's about her. Yeah, it's called The Jackie Stiles Story.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like her herself. Does it have?
Oh yeah. No, I interview her, and it's
That's
like,
awesome.
And I interviewed her at Missouri State at mid-court, 10,000 seats around. And so she calls me as I'm setting up. She goes, "How do I get in?" I'm like, "This is the arena basically you built." And then I said, "Well, you go to the door over where your statue is." And I wasn't trying to be funny, but that's the door that it was. It's like, and she's got 2 statues in Springfield, Missouri. Who has 2? Yeah.
Where can we find that one?
You can get it on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's one I think my dad was a high school basketball coach. That's one I could watch with him. He'd love it.
He would love it. Promise me you're going to watch it with him because
absolutely. Because he cannot operate the TV to switch it to the streaming services. So I will have to watch it.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same thing. When I go back home to Missouri, it's like, I got you. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. It was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, so nice to meet you. I hope we can do this again at some point.
Hey, anytime, I'm available.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Hold on 1 second for me. So happy that I got a chance to talk with Brent. I think he is just the most talented person. Yeah, and he does such a great job on The Rookie. But if you go back and watch some of his work over the last 20, 30 years, he's always really good. I love his work, and he's such a talented writer and director as well. He's done a few different shows and documentaries. He did one called Behind the Orange Curtain, where he directed. It was about the opioid crisis, which here in West Virginia, that's something that we battle with. So that one is really well done. If you're looking for something to watch, and he also did one called Chasing Beauty, which was about the kind of the underside of the modeling industry that was really good. And I can't wait to watch the Jackie Stiles Story with Dad. I know he will absolutely love that. So I hope you enjoyed that. I really had a blast doing that. I meant to ask him about the perils of Gwendolyn, which was one of his early roles, but it starred Tawny Katane, and I thought that would be a fun one to talk about. But we'll do that for next time. He mentioned Mark Harmon. He did an appearance on NCIS, and I've always heard that Mark is just the nicest person. Just a really, really great person, as is Brent. So wanted to mention that, but didn't get to it. He played General Frank on Mad Men. He was an agent on The West Wing. He's on JAG. I think he was a military guy. And then there was another one where he played, it was called Pensacola Wings of Gold, that I had completely forgot about that show, but he played the nickname for his character was Psycho. So I should tell you a little bit about what it was, but he was great on that. There was a kind of sci-fi fantasy, probably more sci-fi show back in the late 90s called Dark Skies that I watched and enjoyed. He had an appearance on that. And then we mentioned, his cowboy appearance on In Living Color. So just a fun interview, and he was very gracious with his time. That was probably a little bit longer than he was expecting. So I really appreciated him hanging in there with me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're finding us for the first time and you'd like to support us, we could definitely use the help. It's real easy to do. It's free. All we ask is that you subscribe. We take those subscriptions, and that helps us to bring in these terrific guests. I've said many times, I'll put the guests that we've had on this show up against any other podcast or even talk shows. I'm so happy and honored that we've had the people we've had on the show. Part of the reason that we get those is through the subscriptions, the audience that we can bring. So it really does help us out. So if you're watching and you like it, then just hit subscribe. If you prefer to listen, wherever you listen to your podcast at, just subscribe there. That'll help us as well. We're closing in on 600 episodes. I put up number 575 today. You can get all of those audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. If we're doing anything in studio, maybe Dad's coming over here to watch the Jackie Stiles documentary. That'll be on the website. If we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, whatever we have going on, it'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So definitely check us out there. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.